o'clock.
Yeah, but whose phone is?
According to Alan, it's 10. Well, if you would call the meeting to order, we'll ask you to stand and we'll say the pledge together.
Pledge
allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. So Bob is not here today, so you're going to have to put up with me. Be it good or bad. What's your feeling on the agenda?
Will we approve the agenda as presented?
Support.
Yeah, I have a motion with support to approve the agenda. I would just add I'm going to have at least one thing under old business and maybe a couple under new business to talk about. So, anybody else? Okay, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The motion is approved. Agenda is approved. So the minutes for our meeting on February the 8th.
Move to approve the minutes.
Support.
I have a motion from Kathy and support from Mark to approve the minutes. Any additions or changes?
I just had the one question. Under manager's comments, he indicated the meeting with regard to the water over at the airport was on February 22nd. We know it's the 23rd. That was corrected. Should we not correct that in the minutes so that they're both?
Well, because that's what I said, and it is further in.
Doug Ingles, when he did his public comment, it's farther in there.
Well, I know, but when that was done, I think he changed his manager comments. That
I was
looks
just
a lot
going-
better,
Okay.
We can fix
in
it.
my mind.
I can fix it.
Yeah.
I was
Alright.
just,
Well, note that correction.
So it isn't today, it's the
tomorrow.
23rd.
Today's the 22nd.
Today's 22nd. It's tomorrow, the
It's actually
23rd.
tomorrow,
Yes.
Okay.
the 23rd.
So I would like those two things to say, because if I was the manager, I'd have changed my comments. And I think he did.
Now, it'll be just a second, I'm between. I wanna get out of the way.
I'm okay with this.
I gotta change my phone.
Okay. And that's
You're a
all.
day ahead, Mark?
For once.
Wow. Well, I guarantee it's the 22nd because our youngest son was born in 1990 on this day. So on Washington's birthday.
Oh, good. Happy
So
birthday.
never forget about it.
Heavenly birthday.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so with that one correction, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Motion is approved. So now we have the bills. So we have accounts payables and then the payroll. So do I have a motion on the accounts payables?
I would move to approve February 22nd accounts payable in the total of $327,816.66.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion and support to approve the accounts payables in the amount of $327,816.66.
I have a few questions.
Sure, go ahead, certainly.
The Bluetooth headsets, 50 of them, what are those?
Those are for the drivers. We purchased, I believe, 50 sets to allow them to use Bluetooth so that when they're driving their CDL vehicles, they're not handled. It's the hands-free.
Hands-free.
So we went through the safety manager and purchased some of those for them.
Have we talked about that earlier in the year?
Yeah, quite a bit earlier. We were
But
looking
you
at
did-
it, but
but
we
you
finally did.
Okay, well, that's kind of what I thought, and that's why I was kind of clarified. All right, another question if I may. The state of Michigan Territorial Road Bridge repair for $13,105.
we have to pay a portion of that project and we have to pay the percentage that they bill us.
Okay,
Every time there's a pay estimate submitted.
Okay. I guess because it said bridge repair, I wanted to make sure we weren't doing some repair
No.
versus bridge
There
replacement.
probably wasn't enough room, like,
Yeah, okay.
we're limited
Okay,
there.
and as I said, it's kind of from what the description was, I kind of figured what it was, I just wanted to verify.
So I have you have
Go ahead.
some more? Okay.
That's all right.
So my question is, I mean, we've got quite an extensive list of deliveries from Detroit Salt Company.
Yep.
And I know that there is some sort of in the contract we have with the salt company, that we have to take a certain percentage of the salt, within a certain time frame to satisfy the contract. Are we gonna use enough salt this year that we're gonna be okay in that area, or?
I don't know, but if not, we have to take it anyway, and we'll put it into the old salt barn if we can't fit it into the barns we have.
Okay, so that's sort of.
Right now, we're not hitting that
Okay.
amount yet, but
So that would be your backup plan,
yes.
if we get to that point,
Yeah.
okay?
Right now, we've got some other material, sand and stuff in there to keep dry, but if we have to, that's what we'd have to use.
Okay.
Okay, I have a few more questions. I see we spent $15,000 on concrete testing. Did that have to do with territorial bridges, or was that something else? The Manic Smith Group?
Manic Smith. and
Manic Smith
Territorial.
is territorial bridge.
Territorial.
So that would be probably the abutments that they're pouring.
That would
They
be
got
the
it, they
concrete
got it.
that they poured?
Yep.
Okay. Another question, horse tire, tire replacement for $4,000. Was that a tire?
I would have to look exactly, cause we get a lot
What
of
does it say?
Horse Tire LLC for $4,032, tire replacement, number 8036.
It was for that vehicle. I'd have to look at exactly how many tires they replaced, but
Do we normally get tires from there? I thought we got them from like
we get them,
Meek Off.
we get them from Meekoff, we get them, there's another one that we use quite a bit,
Okay,
so.
so they just
Some companies have some tires that are cheaper, but then like another set of tires,
would be
this
cheaper.
company's
okay.
cheaper, or, so. That was
Okay.
probably, 4,000 is probably pretty close to replacing either the back axle on a tandem, or there's
Drag
4
tires.
tires on there, or all 6,
Okay, just
or all
curious.
8, I guess.
Oh, well, I'll have
Back
to
to the
remember
salt,
that.
are the outlying garages full?
I don't know if they're slat full, but we've been hauling into them, they can only hold so much.
Yeah,
And
right.
so we've been hauling into them when they need to, they've been hauling into here. And at the end of the year, we'll fill everything up to try to get that 80% done and button up the doors.
Yeah, if you look at this list here, Mark, the salt is going to all locations.
But I know we've had one storm recently where we used salt on them, so.
Oh, yeah, we've used it, if almost
Come out of all
every one, they have some come out of each one of them. The majority comes out of here, but
Nathan Feather sideboards for $318. What are we putting sideboards on?
On the new trucks.
the new trucks, those sideboards are like the big solid oak pieces that go on the top of the dump boxes.
the, so when they're loading them on the loader, they don't.
Yeah, they're not running boards like a pickup
That's
truck.
kinda what I was checking, what we're putting running boards on, cause $318 wasn't very much money.
These are on the top of the box, to hold a little
Okay.
bit more material, plus when they're loading them with a loader, they can hit that wood instead of the box.
Okay, and then Dell Marketing, we spent $8,000, did we replace some computers?
Yes, I got 2 whole set computers, I got 2 laptops for the 2 mechanics, I got towers that needed to be replaced.
I think they were old, is there some kind of a rotation or something?
I'm
we
trying
do?
to start that, cause
Okay.
it has not happened.
So for some places, we had laptops in, like my desk is a laptop, and it
Growls.
spins like constantly, and Thatch has
Right,
been,
right.
has said, you got problems with that? I'm like, so far, no, but he said you will.
Okay.
So some of those that don't need to get taken home, we're switching from a laptop back over to a desktop.
Okay,
They can handle more and cheaper, and
yeah,
so we got a few desktops to put those in.
okay. And then Bradley overhead door, $1,900, do we have a door issue, door repair?
Does it say what location that was?
Does not, now Camden was a cheaper door
Mhm.
repair, this one doesn't say.
There
Well,
was,
it says Hillsdale, excuse me, dash Hillsdale.
I'm guessing they had to repair a garage door out there.
Okay.
I would have to tell you exactly what they did.
I don't know
I
which
would
door,
have
but-
to-
Okay, nobody hit it, did they?
We have had one hit recently.
The springs broke on the north
Springs
side.
broke.
Is that what the spring? Okay.
Those are big doors, they would be
Yeah.
$1,900.
And sometimes when those springs break, that's a lot of weight coming down, it can damage
Yes,
other
it
pieces.
is.
It's a lot of money to replace those doors.
Okay. I'm done, thank you.
Mark, any
Nope,
questions?
I'm done.
Okay. So all in favor of the motion to pay the bills in the amount of $327,816.66, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The bills are approved. Okay, so now we have the payroll. February the 15th. I hear a motion on that.
I move we pay the payroll for the amount of $120,408.07, dated February 15th.
Support.
I have a motion from Mark and a support from Kathy to pay the payroll of February the 15th in the amount of $120,408.07. Any questions on the payroll? Had some overtime here, but not a huge amount. All right. No further questions. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Payroll is approved. So now we move on to the treasurer's report.
Beginning cash and investment balance was $3,634,878.61. Total receipts was $9,859.20. Total in bills and payroll is $448,224.73. Bonds and escrow is $10,250. CD reserve for 2 trucks is $637,452.86. Ending available fund balance is $2,548,810.22. And outstanding accounts payable, we have a credit of $380.01.
Okay. Any questions on the treasurer's report? All right. It will stand approved then. Thank you, Katie. Okay, so do we have any public comment today? Who wants to go first? Bob, you wanna go first?
Wouldn't notice me. Yeah, no, thank you. The last meeting, which I was inquiring about the new, salary that you guys had put in place instead of hourly. You guys had voted on it and, I had asked for those, that paperwork, and I kinda hounded Katie here out in the hallway a little bit, trying to get a copy, and there was no copy. Mrs. Kathy here did not have a copy, and Mr. Klein didn't have a copy, and I guess from my understanding, Mr. Godfrey didn't have a copy. I did inquire as I came in the door here, Bob Griffiths, said that he would, accommodate me after the meeting and give me a copy of that. So what I'm asking is that you guys had some discussions of it, a month or so before. And so when I usually go to other meetings, whether it's townships or not, there's something quite available for the public to have. So I was asking that we look at what that was, and why couldn't we have a copy here that all of you would say yes to it? And what was that gonna be in prices? None of us could get a value to say anything, and I did ask the question, could I get a paper, at the meeting? So I'm just asking right now if, and Bob is gonna accommodate me as it is, so I'm just looking for that, that copy. For the very near future, if anything comes up, public should have an opportunity, is what I'm saying.
All right, thank you. Alan?
Alan Andrews, Reading Township. Since the last meeting, the only calls that I'm receiving from the citizens is Banker Road. And from Abbott west all the way to the line, it is bad, but really it needs to be addressed from 49 all the way west. I brought it up at the last meeting. I just want to share this information with you. I also like you to look at South Allen Road. I drive that quite a bit. It's not falling apart like Banker, but it should be looked at. The only other thing, we did our drive with Bob on Tuesday, and it was a really good drive. I thank Bob for that, all the time we took. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, I want to bring up also about the proposed salary scale for supervisor management positions. I brought up at the last meeting, I had people in the public and employees asking me, I hear them saying, I hear they're making 90,000, I hear they're making 80,000, I'm like, I don't know. I haven't heard a number, but I can't give them an answer. I don't know where they're coming up with these numbers, but I'd also like to request the wage scale, because I know it was done at the last meeting, and also like Bob Griffiths used, like maybe Jackson County and maybe some other counties to come up with that scale, possibly comparable counties. And I'd like to also get that information too, please.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. So we'll move on now to the manager's comments and report.
Okay, let's see here. Just kind of an update on the Hog Creek Bridge issue. We have heard from Eagle. They gave us their preliminary inspection. We went out and met at the site with, I think, myself, Kevin, and Bob Trent from Trent Timber Bridges. They're the ones that did the Camden Road. So he did some measurements and stuff. He's gonna give us an estimate of what it costs from them. From Eagle, basically, they said as long as we put a like structure, the same size structure, and the same basic alignment in, that they'll approve it. And so, we're gonna press forward. We're trying to find a couple different avenues of a timber bridge and other avenues, but normally a timber bridge is the cheapest. And try to press forward with that.
So my reaction would be, that sounds like good news at this point.
Yes. So yesterday, Charlie from Jackson, along with 2 interns, came down and did the initial inspection to determine, exactly what measurements and what alignment and all that has to be, what's there and what has to be. So I think we're on our way to determining what we need. We can order a structure at that point. But it's basically a 20-foot structure in place. We were figuring we got to remove everything there, put pilings in. The new structure, if it winds up being timber, would be 21 foot from the inside of the facing and 22 foot or 24 foot from the outside of the facing for the pilings, and the wing walls and everything kind of similar to Camden. It's just not as deep and not as long. So Camden was just shy of 400,000, so it should be well within that, and we would share that with Allen Township.
What about Elm Road?
Elm is still getting evaluated. I don't see where that's gonna be able to be a tube, but I think that's a bridge structure now, it's just not big enough to be considered a bridge, because it's gotta be 20 foot to be considered a bridge. I think the only saving grace will be the structure upstream, which is that railroad bridge is, again, then they noted that it's, Eagle did, they went up and looked there too. That's a smaller structure, so that limits
A lot
the
of
water flowing through,
Right.
so you shouldn't have to have a big one here, because that one's limited to get upstream. They're concerned about, and why, is what is that causing back upstream, that it does it now, so I'm assuming they're probably gonna, when we get that report back here shortly, that'll be the same thing, it'll be the structure in kind, so the same size structure they'll allow. And so that would basically put that into a timber bridge,
Is that the one we were trying to put a culvert in?
yes.
And they're not gonna, and it is
I-
a bridge now?
I don't, they may, but I have yet to see Eagle downsize anything. Even though that thing upstream is smaller, I've yet to see them downsize
So if we put a culvert in, it would be the same size as what's upstream?
that would be a mighty big culvert.
Oh, so it wouldn't be as big then, we couldn't put a culvert in as big as what's upstream?
No,
So
well, I would say that, you can make it, have any culvert you want made.
Right,
It's really on what they're gonna allow, but
okay.
usually they'll say, just like Hog Creek, you can do in kind, or it needs to be upsized 2 foot, or they'll dictate that, but it'll probably be the same, because it's basically the same as the one upstream.
So it'll be similar to the Jonesville Road Bridge
I don't know what that,
that I had put in.
what's that?
We put a bridge in at Jonesville Road.
I guess that was before me.
I don't think, was it before him?
It's been a while, yeah.
Oh.
Probably longer than we think,
Dang, it's been a while.
longer than we think.
I know nothing.
So, I can look into it, but I don't know what they put in there.
It was a small timber bridge that we
Okay.
put in.
Yes. For small structures, that's the easiest, our crews can do it, it's the cheapest and quickest way. When you start doing concrete pilings and blocking the creek and all that, it gets into a lot of money, but. So timber bridges are just a good,
Yeah.
long-term, they last a long time, so, as long as you don't burn them.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's not do that.
that's a
All right, so
problem.
that's kind of the Hog Creek, it looks like we're on a good place to get some estimates and move forward with that. Sounds like Allen Township isn't planning to do a whole lot this year, other than their brine, because they know this is coming, so. And then we're gonna probably have to work with them on spreading their payments out a little bit.
Yeah.
To get that bridge done. So we can do the same thing with Elm and get that rolling too. I mean, it's gonna be in the same ballpark, probably a little less because it's smaller. But then we'll have to work with that township too.
Well, that's the one here again that, Bob Godfrey says that there's a local farmer
Yes.
willing to.
I don't know if he's willing to put in that much,
Well,
but anything.
I have a doubt if he would put up, all of the match, but.
If we could put a culvert in there, it would be.
Sure, and if they allow it, great. I mean, I'm not gonna hold my breath.
I mean, there's not that much water goes through there, I don't understand why,
They say it can, and that 100-year flood, you gotta be able to.
yeah.
Get a big rain.
That was in 1978, we haven't.
The big benefit is
We're not
that.
gonna have any more of those for another
The
40
big
years,
benefit is
60
having that
years.
structure upstream that's a massive structure that's limiting it, so that's
Yeah,
helping.
they're not gonna get the railroad to pull
So
that.
they're not gonna make us upsize it, but I'm almost guaranteed they'll say, put a in-kind back in place.
So if the railroad bridge goes out, we're in trouble.
Now we get the road done and that's it, before that. All right, Moserville Road permit for Stone Cove, they're still asking to put in that tube, apparently they've already hauled the tube in, it's sitting there. I haven't approved the permit, and I won't approve the permit until, one, you guys are good with it, but I kicked back their detour route plan, cause we asked them for that, and how people are gonna know. And the detour route, to me, only addressed people coming from Farwell Lake or Round Lake Road. So it had signs to direct people, and it directed them around that block, which is a big block. if somebody came off of Bibbins or Round Lake coming from the south, off of US 12, there's nothing until you hit that road and it's closed. So I said, no, it needs to address from all directions that road is closed at that point. And so I'm waiting for them to give me that plan back, and I would assume as long as they meet the, any requirements to flag that, to sign it, then I don't see a problem with them doing it. We will need to have an inspector out there to check density as they're putting it in. But I'll work with Charlie on that to do that.
Do they pay for that checking of the density and whatnot?
They will need to,
Oh,
yeah.
There's a billing
Yep.
associated with that?
So this is something they wanna do sometime within the next 6 months or
I'm
less?
assuming yes, because apparently I talked to Bill Petrie yesterday, and he said that the tube's sitting there in their field, so they're ready to do it. It's a concrete box culvert that basically they'll cut the road, they'll set that box culvert in to extend out past the right of ways and the setbacks and everything, and then they'll compact everything, put the road back, and they said they can do that within 10 days. But during that 10 days, we've got to be able to make sure we control traffic. Not that that's a high traffic road or anything, but if somebody were to come off of, like I said, Bibbins or come from the south, you don't know anything's different. And even coming from the north, and I'm gonna have to talk to MDOT to see if they'd be okay with us, just also because they need to route them down to 12 and over to Bibbins. That's the shortest detour to it. Going around Farwell Lake Road and everything, that's like a huge block, but I'm gonna talk to MDOT to make sure they're okay with us routing to 12 for that section of it. People that live there are gonna find their way around, they know how to get around it, but for those few that don't, we gotta make sure the signs are there.
Right.
So that's Mosherville Road. We're in the process of putting out a bid for coal patch. It's been a while since we've actually bid it. The prices have kind of slowly creeped up, but they're still, decent from especially the supplier that we're using. But we're gonna put it out for bid and see what we get. We're also gonna do some bids for culverts and grader blades. The culverts are gonna be, a lot of them are gonna be the 12-inch culverts that we use for drive tubes and stuff, but there's other culverts that we order one big bulk, and the quotes are only good for like 60 days or something like that because of steel prices. So as we get those bids in, we'll come to the board and make that determination of what we want to do. I just talked with the NRC this morning again. They called to let us know that they will be posting our inspection citations from the past inspection that I've talked about. And we have cleared all that up now. They've okayed the renewal of the license, so that's going through the process of getting renewed. However, they are gonna, I guess, quarterly or whatever they do, they on their website, they have to post what their inspections are, their citations, and so they just want to give me a heads up that tomorrow, I think it goes up, that it's gonna be up there. So he's sending me an email of exactly what's gonna be posted, so we'll see. But he did say there will not be any civil fines or citations along with it. That's just simply a corrective action kind of thing, and what we've done to correct it. And
This is with the nuclear energy.
the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, yes, and that's for the density gauge that we have in the basement.
Yeah.
It is very, very minute radiation, tablet that's in it, and that's how it does the density. So it's not like a huge danger or anything, but because it's nuclear, they go through all their steps. And we went for a while without anybody here certified, and so myself and John Reed both went through the training and got certified to where we can then store it and keep it.
Why do we even have that thing?
To do density out on the road. Like when this tube goes in, we can take that density meter and go out there and check density as they fill in. You gotta have a certain amount of density for depending on what you're doing. That way everything's compacted right, and when they're done putting that tube in, it doesn't sink on one side because they didn't have it compacted good.
So in that piece of equipment, there is a radioactive
it's like a little tablet, that's very minute. And in the casing, it's got a box that it sits in, it's flat. And there's a rod that like holds that little tablet up in that box, so it's in a lead box, it's pretty heavy, but it's in a lead encased box, and it's good the way it sits in the case. If you take it out and were to, shove that rod down, expose that, that's where you could get some radiation, and you gotta wear your little badges and all that to monitor that. But it's made to, you drive a hole in the ground with a stake, you put that on a flat surface there, and then you push that down in the hole, and then that sends out the radiation, and it measures the moisture content and how it reacts back, and that's how it determines the density.
Okay.
When you get done, you pull it back up, so everything's back in the box, and pack it back away.
So this is a piece of equipment that we are required to have, basically, to function.
You're technically not required, but if you didn't have it, you'd have to hire somebody to do it.
Okay.
So every county road has one.
Pretty much, yes. I think Jackson's got 2 or 3, different styles and stuff, but,
Sure.
so yes, it is something that if you didn't have it, it's gonna cost you more long run to be able to use it. So right now we have 2 people, you're required to have 1 person certified at all times. So that was part of our agreement with the NRCs that we would do 2, and that way if one left, you don't have that lap and you get somebody else to fill that spot. And so, and it's gonna be added to your board meeting minutes like once a year to relook at
Right.
who's certified to do it, the program. So you'll actually, as the board, be approving that too, at least once a year. So, that's just in case you hear when something got posted on the NRC website about Hillsdale County getting a citation for not following, certain things on inspection. That's what that is, but they have been corrected. They're just not gonna cite any civil fines to it.
All right.
Let's see. I brought with me, and you can have a copy if you'd like. This is the dated February 28th. It's the 2024 legislative priorities for review prior to the March 21st CRA annual business meeting. So this is all the legislative priorities that CRA is saying, and we're going to do this at the Lansing meeting. They'll go through each one of these one by one and say, these are our legislative priorities, and we're gonna try to get the legislative people to approve, well, they won't, this is our priorities, we want you to work on this, we want something done with this. And so each one of them, will have like this is a priority for, let me go to, like the local match, for matching funds on local roads. And so they'll say, they give a blurb of what's currently going on, and then CRA supports legislation by, and then each one of them has CRA's, like, what we'd like to see. And there's like a ton of them here that are their legislative priorities. So if you'd like, I can make a copy of all this and give each one of you one.
Do we want a copy, or do you guys wanna scan it and email it to us?
I can do either.
Why don't you just scan it and email it and save the paper?
Okay, I can do that. That's just kind of an informational thing that if you'd like to see.
And as I see it, I mean, it's a wish list.
Kinda, it's what CRA wants to use, like the Roads Plus is their, like, political action committee kind of thing. That's what they're using to get, legislation pushed to benefit road commissions. That's the whole aspect of the County Road Association. As I sent out an email to all of you, I think earlier this week, most of the contracts for the townships are done. I've been handing some of them out. We're still working on a few that are a little more unique. But I think we should have them all by their budget meetings that are coming up in March. So that said, I've got a bunch of them. I'm in my office. As they come in, I can go through each one of them, make sure they're right. We can correct them on the spot if something's not quite right, and press on. I can email them out to people. I think one township's already asked to have it emailed. Had 2 or 3 come in and pick them up, so we're getting there. There's the annual managers retreat coming up in May on the 8th and 9th that I would like to attend. And just want to run that by you guys, make sure you're good with it.
Sure.
Went to it last year. I think it's something new that Sarah's doing where it's just managers and kind of getting them together to learn from each other, basically. That's the whole intent, you know. I thought it was a good one last year, and I'd like to go this year if you're okay with it.
Sure.
Is that in Cancun or?
I wish. No, it's in Gaylord.
Oh.
It's where?
Gaylord.
Wow,
It's kind of a trip from here.
that's a little trip.
Well, but you think about the people at the far end of the UP, it's a
Yeah.
trip for them too.
Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, and it's an easy right in the center. You know.
Location, better than
Yeah.
Lansing.
Either Grayling or Gaylord is sort of the
Yeah.
center part of the state, and when I was,
And they'll even use Mount Pleasant sometimes because they got conference centers there too.
just a follow-up, when I was an officer in the County Treasurers Association, the one year, one of our officers was from Gogebic County. She lived about 5 miles from the Wisconsin border. I lived 4 miles north of the Ohio line. It was 300 miles from my place to the bridge. It was 300 miles from her place to the bridge.
Wow.
Put it in perspective.
Yep.
All right, and let's see, I think probably the two last things, and actually, that goes into old business there. The guardrail contracts, the guardrail brush spray and the roadside brush spray are gonna be two of the contracts you got in your package there to sign. If you have any questions on that. And I guess my last one is we did interviews yesterday for the project manager position. We did offer a position to Heather Boyd, which she's worked here in the past, and she applied for that position. And so after the interviews, we elected to offer. She came in and accepted that this morning. And so she'll be starting March 11th as the project manager.
Cool.
So that pretty much fills all of our slots that we have.
Good.
And amazingly,
They're fully staffed
fully staffed.
for a minute.
So in terms of truck drivers, we're
Fully staffed on truck drivers. We're actually technically from where you were at when I got here. I'm not sure what your staffing levels are. We've got one extra mechanic from when I got here. They're hard to find as it is, so
We need one.
I'm okay with,
We need one.
and I'm okay with leaving them if that's the way it winds up being. But
did you tell me that possibly we have a mechanic that's maybe in a year or two might retire?
it's possible. I mean, I don't want to say when somebody's going to retire, but
Yeah.
There's at least one of the mechanics that could retire pretty much anytime he wants. And if and when he does, if we elect to just stay there at that level, that's great. But if we elect to fill that, I wouldn't mind that either.
Yep.
I think 4 mechanics is thin to take care of this fleet.
Yep.
So we usually have 3, we have 4 now, is that what you're saying?
No, we normally would have 4, we got 5 now.
We have, okay, that's what I was trying to, okay,
Yes.
all right,
There was 4, I should say there was 4 when I got here,
okay.
and now we got 5.
That's a good thing.
And is that with the supervisor? 4 with the supervisor?
No, that's 5 mechanics, plus Joe is the fleet manager.
Fleet manager. So we have 5 mechanics plus Joe's the fleet manager, okay.
So, does these 5 mechanics include the tire guy?
No.
Okay.
He's kind of in classification on his own, but he still works in there, and does the tires and other things,
Sure.
but no, he's not one of the 5.
Alright.
I think that's about all I got. If you got any questions?
So I guess a question I have with Heather coming back and serving as the project manager. So some of the testing stuff that we've had to hire out this in the last year or so, is she going to be able to pick up some of that, or?
Not really, the testing takes a lab and some of that you're talking about,
Okay.
that we just don't have. Even if you have the people, you don't have the facilities to do. Some of the minor inspections, yes, the testing, probably not. So some of the inspections, yeah, we also have a bid out that some of the drivers have signed, that they would go out and they can go out and do some of the easier inspections. But when it comes to like the territorial road bridges and stuff like that, that's always probably gonna be a contractor. But she was certified with the Nuke gauge, so that'll help there too, we can get her recertified. And then she can also do like Road Soft and a lot of the other programs that we got going on.
I have Bob Godfrey on line one.
Did you get the new trucks figured out on the problems?
Hello?
with them?
Yeah,
All right, you're on.
all right, I'll be listening.
It's about time you woke up, Bob.
Yeah.
So in answer to your question on the new trucks, yes, they've been working on those and they've set a couple different settings. They moved the spinners on one so far, and then they'll duplicate some of that on the other two.
Okay. Being new, there are problems.
Well, they're different ways of doing it.
Yeah,
I mean, so
Yeah, different type of system.
different technology, different, and we just have to learn to do it.
But they are more than adequate for what we use them for.
Yes, they are.
They do get snow in Minnesota.
And that's what they are. They're MnDOT specs. So basically everything's by what MnDOT uses. And when you do MnDOT and some of those others, they're not like Michigan where you got MDOT and the counties. MnDOT does everything.
Yep.
All roads are under MnDOT. You know, all roads are under ODOT.
Same with South Dakota.
Yep. So when you say MnDOT, don't confuse it with the way we do it here for separated by counties doing their own thing, and then county or the MDOT just doing the state trunk lines. Their DOT does everything, and so.
So those trucks will work adequately on the gravel roads when the time comes?
Yep.
Okay.
Indiana's like us. So.
There's not too many states that still have county road commissions.
Yeah.
I think there's only like one or two. There's less than one or two.
Yeah. Indiana still has.
Everybody else has gone to DOTs for everything.
And so does that conclude your report?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So under old business, we have, some contracts to deal with here for guardrail and brush and weed control and roadside brush and weed control.
Do we have those in our packet?
They were in Gary's folder.
Okay.
And just to clarify on those, the guardrail weed control is a springtime application and the brush control is a fall time application.
You want me to grab them?
Just for clarity, when we do these two contracts, they're for the whole county or part of the county? Refresh my memory.
Well, the one that's on the contract, it shows 300 miles, so
Okay.
it's a quarter of the county
That's
for
what
the
I thought.
brush control.
For the brush
The
control.
guardrail is the entire county.
It's the entire county, and we do that every year on those guardrails?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought, I just wanted that reiterated.
And that shows approximately 300 miles for brush control with not to exceed 55. It really should be 51 is what that comes to. But it's gonna fluctuate a little bit when we go around the county.
Yeah,
So that 300 is dividing our road mileage in quarters.
in quarters, and depending on which town, because I assume you do it by township.
Yeah, well, by
And so which,
corner.
yeah, which quadrant you do, is it?
Could have a few
little
more
bit-
miles than another.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one here, the guardrail brush and weed control contract. This is with Dalton's Inc. And this one is for $8,020.80. For 66,840 linear feet at 12 cents per linear foot for guardrail spraying.
Did that go up from last year?
No, I think that would stay the same.
Stay the same, and I think that was in our electronic packet.
Yes. it was.
Yes, cause I
Yes.
thought I saw that in the electronic packet, yeah.
It was.
That was my question, whether it had changed from last year.
No,
And these were approved, you guys approved these contracts in December,
Now we're just signing
just
them?
signing them.
Okay.
Okay, so we
So
don't,
that's, so we don't, we've already discussed these.
Mhm.
Yes.
so we don't need another motion.
No,
no.
Okay.
Bob, which one was summer?
Guardrail spring and brush sprays fall. That way you're spraying the brush and it browns out with fall and it's a more natural. thing. The guardrail, that's to keep it from going to fall summer.
What quarter of the county is starting out?
Well, we did it last year, this year it's the southeast corner. Okay, if you just draw,
And again, that comes out every 16 years to go different quarters, if I'm not mistaken.
This is
no,
every
once
4
a
years.
year, once a year.
Oh, it's once a year.
So there's 4 quarters, so every 4 years you'll be back around to it.
Oh. Thank you.
And this one we don't do by townships, because townships don't have anything to do with it, we just do
Correct.
it based on the
Correct,
road.
that's all on
Yeah,
us, that's
yeah.
under maintenance, correct.
Yeah.
And so then the second contract with Dalton's,
And that's the one that did change a little bit, that used to be by gallon. And they would charge us, they'd mix their stuff and so many gallons went into that. And they would charge us by the gallon. And that was always kinda, you never really quite knew what it was gonna be. And so they adjusted that to change it to per centerline mile.
right,
So now it's $170 per centerline mile, we know what it is, we know what it's easier to budget, it's easier to control and track and.
You know what you're getting,
Yep.
yeah, for approximately 300 miles, not to exceed a total of $55,000.
be like doing it by the acre.
So,
Yes.
Yeah, if they did it for that gallon, then they could wind up with product left over or not
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah, or it just fluctuated too much.
Yeah.
So.
May I ask one more question of you, Bob?
Well,
I'll wait for public.
okay. I don't mind answering, but.
I just didn't know how the cost was, that's what I was gonna go to.
okay, so I have one item, I guess I'm gonna bring it up now under old business. We've talked some about some signs in the Amish area. And I don't know, Bob, whether you ever got a call. I went to see the head bishop, John Graber, prior to our last meeting, and he or one of the other younger bishops was gonna try to call you, but I think that's when you were gone.
Okay.
I know that, one of the questions he asked me is, do we want them to pay for this in advance?
Yes.
So what I really am concerned about is on Camden Road, you probably aren't familiar with this, but in about a month or so, the traffic on Territorial Road on weekends is gonna triple. And so it's gonna get rerouted to Camden Road. And, you know, through the winter here, it's not been too terribly bad, but it's gonna get far worse on the weekends with all of the lake people coming from Ohio and from Monroe County. And so I really would like to get some signs up before that happens.
I would like to maybe set another meeting with them to one say, cause they gave us the map
Mhm.
of,
Yeah.
to say which ones they actually want.
Yep.
How many of them they want, and then we can go from there.
Is that something
It's
that,
gonna be in that $175 to $200 a piece.
okay, I thought the number you had given me was 150, and that's what I
Well-
told him.
Well, I think it's gonna be closer to the, when you figure the post and the sign and the time and the equipment, it's gonna
Okay.
be 175 to 200. I'll give them an exact.
Is something, I mean, the issue that I have, or that they have, is when I went out there and talked with him, he couldn't give me a phone number where they could be contacted. I gave him your number.
Okay.
But I'm willing to go back out and facilitate a meeting sometime here relatively soon, because I think especially on Camden Road, with the additional traffic that's coming when the weather changes and all the lakers start flooding the scene.
If we could get a meeting like the week of the 11th, sometime in there, March 11th,
Okay,
I mean, that would work, and it,
all right,
if we had some idea of how many they're looking for, the
mhm,
posts probably aren't as big a deal, but the signs, you probably don't have any yet.
We'll need posts.
What's that?
We'll need posts. We'll run
For
out of
those?
posts.
Okay.
Depending on how many they want.
Well, for my rough estimate, it was looking about 20.
If those delivered today, were their posts delivered today?
I'm not sure. I've been out there.
We gotta see what was delivered today.
Oh.
See if we got.
But the signs will have to come from probably Dornbos to.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is the availability on those. And is that gonna be 6 months from now we're gonna get them, or a month? Cause it's been taking them quite a bit longer to get us our stuff.
Okay. So we
that's
can
gonna
talk
be
to
an
Dornbos
issue,
on
too.
that, but, so that's, the quicker we know how many we can get that going, you know, we're kind of sticking our necks out by ordering them before they pay for them, but
I think the commitment is there, certainly
I
to
think
pay
so,
for
too.
some. I don't know that they're willing to pay for 20,
sure.
but I would say,
But where are the most important ones they would like to see?
yeah,
But, yes.
but I would say easily half of that number.
Okay. Well, if we can
So
talk to them about it, I think we're ready to start looking.
I will try to get back out there in the next couple of days and let you know.
Okay.
Okay. New business. So we have some MERS stuff.
Yeah, so the first, resolution is to have an authorized signature, someone to be able to sign. And it is to make me the person to sign. For this and any upcoming MERS issues, things.
Approve all these under one motion, or we have to do three?
I think we'll have to do them separate, because usually with
Yeah.
I think
resolutions,
the
we have to have roll
resolutions
call.
need to be separate, and then the other is just a motion.
Alright.
Yeah, there are two resolutions, correct, Katie?
Yes,
The first two are resolutions. So the first one will be the resolution establishing authorized signatures for MERS contracts and service credit purchase approvals. I guess the question I have, as I look at this, do we need somebody listed here as a backup to sign?
I can touch base with them, but I think that'll be a whole nother form, cause it doesn't list, there's not a spot for another person. Or there's additional positions, but
So
if
who
you
is
would
that?
like,
Who's that you're signing?
it would be me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright,
But I can have them, if that's something we need to add, I can set that up, if you would like more.
My only concern in that regard is, what if you became injured in an accident
Yeah.
or were ill and were out of the picture for a
Yeah.
month or 2 months? It's good to have a backup plan.
Oh, yes, I agree.
well, I would move that we, okay, to sign resolution 24-001.
Okay?
Support.
Okay, I have a motion or support, to authorize Katie as the signatory for MERS, approve this resolution 24-001. Any more discussion? So maybe we do need to do a roll call vote here.
Yes.
Okay,
Gary Reinecker,
yes.
Mike Carney,
Yes.
Kathy Schmidt,
Yes.
Mark Klein.
Yes.
And then I will get that, I can add somebody on there.
Okay. And so down here at the bottom where it has witness signatures, do you want us as board members to sign that, or are you gonna have somebody internally sign that?
You can sign it.
I
It doesn't matter to me
I would
right
think
now.
the chair, vice chair could, or sign as a witness.
Okay,
Just needs one.
Mhm.
Got witness signature, witness name, and witness title.
well, it may be, okay, see where it's adopted? Authorized signature must currently be in a position named above.
And that's,
That would be you, correct? Is that
Yes.
your understanding?
yes.
Okay.
It's number 1.
All right. Okay, so now we go to the next resolution. And this is the Healthcare Savings Program Uniform Resolution with MERS.
And that is to set up the 1% for management that chose to do that deduction out of their paycheck.
But in the resolution, it says
That's,
non-union.
that's how our divisions are set up with we have our general and then non-union. So all management's non-union, we don't have a choice to be in the union.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve resolution 24-002?
I move that we adopt resolution 24-002.
Support.
Okay, so I have a motion of support to adopt resolution 24-002 with MERS and for the Health Care Savings Program. Any additional discussion or questions? Oh, okay, Katie, roll call vote again.
Gary Leininger,
Yes.
Mike Carney,
Yes.
Kathy Schmidt,
Yes.
and Mark Klein.
Yes.
Now, before I lose those, why don't you give those to her?
I made myself copies.
And then, so these two other items,
There's only one left.
Which one?
Yeah,
There's
just
one. The other one's just pretty much addendum to the last, that has to be signed. I just gave you guys all the information that's sent to me. And this is, again, with the healthcare savings program, this is the agreement stating that it's the non-union employees, it'll start,
first
the
day of-
effective day of March,
first day of March.
and then there's no probation period, and it will be every bi-weekly, how it'll be done.
I would move that we allow Katie to sign the, officer, there's a MERS healthcare savings program for this year.
Support.
So I have a motion and a support.